Florence, who gave you the right? So the new Florence and the Machine album, High as Hope, came out 2 days ago, and it completely destroyed me. Every time she releases an album, it's better than the last, and I just want to know how. Florence Welch is my soulmate. That's just a fact. Through the cosmos, Florence Welch and I are connected. And so she has this terrible habit of making albums that are exactly what I need, exactly when I need them. Do you guys have artists like that, where every time they release an album, it has a song or two on it that feels like they're just talking directly to you? It's really unnerving, honestly. And the thing that's so annoying about it with Florence to me is that I'm not even going through the types of struggles that she is. We both have monsters, but they're different kinds. I should have no possible way to relate to her music. Every single time she releases an album, there's a song or two on it where she finds the exact thing that I have been thinking about. All of my anxiety just manifested. She finds the thing that has given me the most pain in that year, and she picks at it until it starts to bleed, and then she puts a band-aid on it. So this album, High as Hope, has only been out a few days, and it already means so much to me. I've just been sitting in my room, just like journaling and crying and writing really bad poetry, just sobbing and listening to this album just on a constant loop. It's really jarring because until this album came out, for the past month or so, I've just been listening to just almost exclusively K-pop, and K-pop makes me really happy, and it feels like I've got just cotton candy, pink cotton candy just wrapped around my heart, and it makes me feel warm and fuzzy, and everything in the world is pastel and shiny. And then Florence's album came out, and it's like, actually, it's storming outside, and there are waves crashing inside of you, and if you don't let all of these emotions out, you're gonna drown. It's been really nice having short pink hair for like a month, but I guess it's time for me to grow it out again and dye it orange. I just want to know what coven she is in, and if I can join. Okay, so let's just go through this thing song by song. Okay, song number 1, June. Beautiful. I love the way that it starts really quiet and it builds into just the crescendo. I don't speak music terminology, so I don't know what but you know the end of the song where it's like boom, and then it just ends. And the lyrics make me feel so happy that I'm sad about it.
You're gonna suffer, but you're gonna be happy about it.
Track number 2, Hunger. This was a single, so I had listened to it a lot before the album came out, and I remember the first time I listened to it, it was just so stark and kind of, I don't know what word to use, almost abrasive, that I didn't like it the first time that I listened to it. And then I listened to it again and it just clicked. And have you seen the music video? And the last line that's like, how many people have to die so that you can feel loved, or something like that? Holy crap, Florence. And then what just happened? Well, the light that I had sitting over there to balance the light on the sides of my face just went out for some reason. I think the bulb died. So thanks, IKEA. Track 3, South London Forever. This is probably one of my least favorite songs on the album, which doesn't mean that I don't like it, because I do still like it. I just like it slightly less than I like the other songs. And while I think most of the song feels just a tiny bit weaker than the rest of the album, there are a couple parts in there that hit really hard. Like the lyric, everything I ever did was just another way to scream your name. I like that lyric a lot. And then, I can't remember the exact lyric, but all I know is that green is so green, and that there's a special kind of sadness that comes with spring. Track number 4, Big God. So, you know how earlier I was saying that there are a few songs in every Florence album that feels like she's just read my mind and she's giving me exactly what I needed at that point in my life? This was the first song on this album that felt like that. I know that this was also a single, but I didn't listen to it before the album came out because it came out a week before the album, and I just assumed just let it be part of the album experience for myself. This song is not even the best song on the album, but everything about it is just so fitting for me right now. And what makes me so mad about it is that for me, the song Big God is about existential horror and feeling abandoned by your beliefs and feeling so empty inside that you have no soul and that you're completely barren. The hopelessness is just so much that it has become your number one fear in life. And for Florence, she said in an interview, yeah, that was just about somebody who ghosted me. I was texting this person and they didn't answer me back and I was upset about it. You just scooped out my entire being because somebody didn't text you back? Track number 5, Sky Full of Song. This was the first single that came out from this album, and I love it. Every lyric is perfect. Every piece of the song is perfect. The song is perfect. Number 6, Grace. This one is interesting to listen to, I think, because most of Florence's music before this album, while it has felt extremely personal, it's broad reaching enough that you can sort of apply it to your own life, even if it's not about you. But this song feels like a diary entry. I know that it's about a real event and it's about her sister, and so listening to it, knowing that, and having listened to the interviews that she's put out, it feels like she's sitting in the room with you and she's telling you about this. This song was also probably one of the ones that I don't like as much on the album. Again, I still think it's a good song. It's just one that after I'd listened to the album a few times, I skip it. Patricia. This song is probably one of my favorites on the album. And I heard that it's actually about Patti Smith, which is really cool. There is a lyric in this song that just gets me. The first time I heard it, even though the song sounds really happy, and it kind of is, I just started sobbing. She told me all doors are open to the believer. I believe her. I believe her. I believe her. 100 years just feels like how I have been coping with the last year and a half. You know, it starts off hopeful and then kind of decomposes into anger, and then hopeful again, and then anger, and then hopeful again, and then anger, and it's just, it's accurate. The End of Love, the first time I listened to it, I enjoyed it, but it kind of flew under the radar for me, but the more I listen to it, the more I love that song. Her vocals in that song, they just tug at my heartstrings. Also, I think this song is also about that guy who didn't text her back, because she's talking about like Joshua coming down from the heavens and she thought he really loved her and then he ghosted her. This guy done messed up. Just imagine if you were that guy, like you were talking to Florence on Tinder or something and she was cool, you know, but you weren't sure if it was gonna work out, and you didn't want to have like an official like let's stop talking because you thought that would be awkward and you thought that this would kind of hurt her less, and then this album comes out and maybe your name is Joshua. Like, how do you feel? And the last song, No Choir, it's the perfect wrap up to this album. The whole time I was listening to the album, I was thinking, this sounds so much less thematic than her albums usually sound. Her songs are usually just really big. And there are a few songs on this album that are like that, but for the most part, this album is just more kind of mellow. And I was thinking, that's interesting, you know, I don't hate it, but it's different. And then I listened to No Choir and I was like, okay, I see I see the thought process. I see what you're doing here. Also, the first line, why don't you just punch me in the gut instead? So those are my thoughts on each of the tracks in this new album. If you haven't listened to it already, what are you doing with your life? Does Florence know that she's my North Star? Last night I was trying to sleep and I couldn't. I had to get up and write really bad poetry because this album made me feel so many things that I had to let them out or I was gonna die. Did you know she's a Virgo? That's really surprising to me. I always thought she was like an Aquarius or a Pisces or a Leo. The girl's a Virgo. Thought maybe she could have been a Scorpio like me. But I mean, like, all of my crushes are Virgos usually. Like, my actual boyfriend and Kim Namjoon from BTS. Virgos, you know, if you're a Virgo, just congratulations. What am I even doing with my life?